Hi everybody, this is another IELTS Breakthrough tutorial, and this one again is for the speaking section of IELTS. So if you are taking the academic or general training version of IELTS, keep watching for this valuable information and tutorial. One difficulty that many test takers experience is that they are faced with a topic and then they suddenly feel confused because they don't know anything about that topic, or at least they think they don't know. And then because they get confused, they panic and the answer gets messed up. So in this video, I'd like to offer you a solution to this problem. And the solution is to take control of the topic yourself. Keep watching and find out the 2 simple steps to take control of the topic and some useful language that you can use to do this. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for clicking on the video. My name is David Bourne. I am the creator of IELTS Breakthrough. IELTS Breakthrough is a channel dedicated to helping you get a higher score in IELTS. If you're going to take a general training IELTS, an academic IELTS, or even a life skills IELTS, then I suggest you do subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Alright then, so if you get confused about a topic that you are asked in the speaking test, the good news is that you can do something about it. And what you need to do is to take control of the topic. Let me explain how you can do this. Now, the first thing I should say before I go into the actual strategies is that this is a strategy when you really are confused about the topic and you genuinely feel that you cannot say anything about it. Remember that most topics in IELTS are not designed for anyone with specific knowledge. The test writers recognise that the test takers come from many different ages with many different levels of experience and knowledge. So it would be unfair if the questions were directed at some kind of specific knowledge or experience. So they do their best to make sure that the questions are relevant to anyone who takes the test. That being said, of course, we do have our own interests and knowledge and experiences, and of course some topic questions are going to be easier to answer than others. There are 2 steps that you need to take in order to control the topic. Step number 1 is to decide on the alternative topic that you are going to talk about. If you don't understand or you don't know about the topic given to you or the question asked by the examiner, then of course you need to change it and you need to have an idea about what you are going to change it to. Now the key thing here is you cannot change it to something completely different. It must be a similar topic. Here are a few examples for you. If the examiner asks about countryside, then perhaps you could change the topic to be more specific. You could talk about a trip to the beach, a trip to the mountains, or maybe some kind of camping trip that you have experienced. If the examiner asks you about video games, and maybe you are a little bit older and have not followed the teenage obsession with video games, maybe you have experience of board games like Monopoly and so on. And then one more example, let's say you are at high school or in your first or second year of university, the examiner asks you about the work environment. And at this stage, you have never had a job or worked in an office. Well, maybe you can talk about offices that you have visited, or offices that you have observed at your school or at your university. Once you have decided on your topic, then you need to tell the examiner that you are going to change the topic a little bit. So there is some useful language that you can use for this. Here is the first phrase, I'm afraid, but. And an example, I'm afraid I don't use public transport much, but I can talk about a car journey I remember. And the next phrase is similar. I don't know much about, however. And an example of this, I don't know much about sport. However, I can tell you about a very famous sports star in my country. And then one more useful phrase, XXX is not my domain, but I can tell you about YYY. Example, science is not my domain, but I can talk about science fiction. So once you have used these phrases, you have then put yourself in a position where you can talk about the topic that you know more about. And of course, then you will go on to answer the examiner's question according to your preferred topic. That is the tactic that you can use, and it can be very useful if you really find yourself confused by a question. Now, I do have to give a warning about this tactic. Uh-oh. It is something that if you use it in the wrong way, it can damage your score because the examiner might identify it as some kind of hack and you're trying to, if you like, cheat the system. For example, if you completely change the topic, then it is going to damage your score. As an example, let's say you are given a part 2 topic where the topic is talk about a sport that you enjoy. And it happens that you do not play any sports and you are not interested in sports. So you say, well, I'm afraid I don't play any sports and I'm not interested in sport. So I'd like to talk about my favorite type of chocolate. Obviously, jumping from sport to chocolate is not going to be very good because the examiner is going to spot this strategy simply as a trick. And remember, in your score, the examiner evaluates whether you have the vocabulary level to match the topic of the question. And that is often where your score is damaged if you try and use this tactic in the wrong way. And then another thing related to this is avoid memorization. You're wasting your time if you try and memorize some fixed answers or even memorize a whole 2-minute speech that you want to deliver in the test, and then you try and just take control of the topic, change the topic according to match your memorized speech, and then deliver that to the examiner. Memorized speech comes out very differently to natural speech. The examiner will recognize it in terms of the grammar, the vocabulary, and the pronunciation. These 3 things all change when you start to deliver memorized information. Okay, so with those warnings being said, this is, however, still a relevant strategy that you can use when you are confused. Let me just summarize the 2 steps. Step number 1, decide on your similar but different topic. And then step number 2, use some useful language to show the listener that you are changing direction a little bit. And then deliver your answer according to your preferred knowledge. Let me know in the comments if you found this strategy useful. Also, I'd like to know if you have any topics that you are worried about. Tell me what the topics are in the comments section, and I'll try and make some videos related to talking about these topics. And also, keep watching other videos. There are so many other videos I've made on the speaking test. If you want to do really well in that, check out the playlist for speaking test strategies. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, or weekend. I'll see you in the next video.